Howdy, howdy, ho, folks. Welcome back to the Brinx and Hearse podcast. My name is Ryan McNeil.
Michael Freer. All right,
and we are not only wishing you a howdy, howdy, ho today, we are wishing you a howdy, howdy, no, ho, Hank today.
Ooh.
Barry finished up this past week.
Yep.
And this is a show we have both been loving over the past year. So now, Mikey, tell me about how did you stumble upon the show, Barry, and what was it like when you first watched?
So Barry, I think I've like seen it in passing, like just like scrolling through HBO, and then it came up the winter semester, or the fall semester. We were talking about it, and you told me to check it out. And I think the first 3 seasons were out by then, or no?
Yeah, the first 3 were out.
Okay, and I breezed through that thing. I mean, 30 minutes. It really took me by surprise how good it was, and it was just so easy to watch. The comedy, and I'd never seen a show take comedy that far while also being so dark and like dramatic. Because The Sopranos have like comedic moments, but this is a comedy show that is also very gritty.
Yeah, it's like bizarre to describe to somebody, and it's tough to really like.
There's not really like a definitive like genre.
Like there's nothing quite like what this show is, because it is very, very dark. There's very, very big dramatic moments, but it never stops being a comedy, and the comedy never feels out of place either.
Yeah.
So they achieved like such an excellent tone over the years that this past season they were able to go so many different places with it. And I remember I grew up watching Bill Hader on SNL, and so I was always intrigued about it. And I think I watched maybe like 2019 when the 2 seasons were out, and I fell in love with the show.
Yeah.
And then it was a long break because of COVID. There were 3 years in between the next season. And then the last 2 seasons coming out last year and this year have both been phenomenal.
Right.
And what did you think of this last season? Tell me.
I have to say, I think the first half of this season was its best. Was the show's best. And then the time skip kind of caught me by surprise, and it
caught everybody by surprise.
It lost a lot of momentum.
I think it may have lost momentum. I don't disagree with that. I do think it added a lot of suspense and tension, though, for me.
Yes, I agree. But the comedy kind of just disappeared after that, which was kind of needed.
It came and went. Everything at Noah Hank's compound, and everything with Fuchs, and it was funny when he came out of prison with all the tattoos.
Yeah. But
he picks up the barista.
Yes. That was almost like a subtle comedy too, when he just comes out and you're like, this old man looks like I don't even know. But excuse-moi. I also think NoHo Hank was the best in this season.
This past season, without a doubt.
Maybe not his funniest, but his best in terms of character.
Yeah, it's still hilarious moments. Like the Dave and Buster sequence early on, and it was a thing with the sand where he almost kills Cristobal.
Yeah,
was hilarious. But yeah, the second half, like you said, he doesn't really have what
the sand scene.
That's a hilarious idea that somebody was like, "Oh, how will we kill them? We'll put them in a room and we'll just dump sand on them."
Okay.
But there weren't many after the time jump of like hilarious NoHo Hank moments. One that does come to mind in the second to last episode, I think, when they send the guys to, I think, go to kill the Raven or something, and they come back with 3 boxes, and he's like, "It's their heads, isn't it?" Then he opens it up, it's a head, and then he opens up the next one, it's a head, and he opens up the third. Why do I keep opening them?
Body. I think so. When you look at each main character's ending, what would you say? What stood out to you? What kind of fell flat?
It's tough.
First, how would you consider the finale overall?
I liked it. I didn't love
liked
it.
it too. I liked it too.
I didn't love it, but again, this was a show where I didn't feel like it had to stick the landing really. Like, it didn't have to be this. I didn't need like a crazy ending for Barry or crazy ending for anybody else.
No.
And I thought it was interesting how it does end with the perception is Gene was the bad guy, and that Barry was this innocent guy who was taken advantage of by him, and just that idea of like, oh, the stories isn't always what it seems, and just stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That was a little interesting twist to it, but there is. I don't want to say it's like a nitpick or a problem because I didn't think it had to be anything special. There's nothing special about any way a character wraps up in this.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. I don't feel like anybody has like a... I don't want to say a proper ending, but... Like, I don't know. Like, NoHo Hank dies just on the statue of Crystal Ball. And that was a nice moment when he grabs his hand. But it just kind of happens, you know?
I think... there were three good endings and the character endings and two endings.
Yeah.
And that would be, I think, NoHo Hank, Fuchs, and Sally were the best. And then Barry and Kusino were confusing to me.
Yeah. Everything about Kusino, like him now being blamed for the murders and all this stuff, and now he's in jeopardy because like he came back out of hiding when they were going to make the movie, and he's been in hiding for all these years or whatever. Like, it all just kind of gets thrown at you, and it's like, oh, he ends up in prison, and now Barry's dead.
Yeah,
and Barry's death happened so quickly, but like that's almost what the show is, though. Things happen kind of so out of nowhere. It's comedic, right? Yeah.
You know, I think each character in this, can we say, is a bad person?
I mean, Sally's the closest thing to a good person, but even then, she kills somebody, and I mean, she's mostly manipulated. But, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe Sally and Kusino were better people until Barry came in, but
yes, if anything, the show is about Barry's it's contagious how self-destructive he is.
We'll go over Kusino first, I suppose, his ending.
Okay.
I think it kind of fit his character a little bit that he came back and out of hiding because of his just greed and want for fame and wanting to get back at a failed profession. And he really thought he had a story here, and he had such a hatred for Barry at that point that he wanted to take it out in the only way he knew how, and that was the show business.
Yeah.
And you know, I think he forgets the mistakes he made along the way, like taking the money, which I even forgot about. And he seems to just fail miserably at trying to give himself a happy ending, you know? And every character, you can say, tried to give themselves a happy ending, and only one succeeded, being Sally. Yeah.
And I think that is what's kind of content with it, is that she is definitely the best person of anybody in this show, and she gets the best ending. Mm-hmm. And because she's out in Colorado or wherever that was, raising her son, and they're happy, they're making a living, and it ending just him watching the Barry movie, the fake Barry movie. I thought that was kind of interesting, but
it had a little dragged on, though.
It did. It definitely dragged on, and it didn't end any way that I expected it to. No. I guess is one way I could put it. And I thought it was hilarious when, I forget the guy's name. He's a dude with like the funny facial hair, who's Kusino's friend, the big guy. He's bald head, glasses.
Oh, yes.
And it's the beard, yeah. And when Kusino's just like locked in his bedroom and he like is pulling out the gun, the guy's like, oh, if you need anything, I'm right here. Then you see him turn around and grab a suitcase and start tiptoeing out the door.
What were you surprised that Kusino was shot Barry instead of, like, you it was kind of set up how you thought like Kusino was going to kill himself?
It never crossed my mind that he was going to kill himself.
Oh, really?
I thought he was going for. I didn't think that. for whatever reason.
Because I thought he tuned out. I thought he didn't even know he was there. Like, you could hear Barry from the room, but I thought he, like, tuned it out because he was like, I'm about to kill myself.
Oh.
You know?
No, that would have also been interesting, though, if he does that and then Barry storms in.
Yeah.
He's found with the dead body.
Yeah.
But what's the last we see of Fuchs?
Because Fuchs is when
doesn't he just run away?
He gives Barry's son back to him, and I think that was a really good ending because Fuchs, he took. I think it's pretty clear that what he did to Barry, and he took he was so manipulative toward him and took such advantage of him for being, like a PTSD soldier or whatever, and he thought that the best action was to kill Barry for, stabbing him in the back, but I guess he realized that he did so much worse for such a prolonged period of time that it was right to just, give the kid up, and that'll be it between him and Barry, and they're even.
Yeah, and I like anytime a show or movie, like franchise, I don't need to see like how everybody goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like Fuchs just goes away. Like I didn't need to see him die. I don't need to see everybody's definitive end.
Yeah.
And I like how this show realized that.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps they're setting up a Raven show.
Oh, would you watch a Raven show?
I would watch a Raven show, but more so I would watch a NoHo show.
Yeah, a NoHo prequel would be pretty sick.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I don't think there's any other Barry like related things I would want to see. A NoHo show, and I feel like he'd be down for it too, though.
Yeah, I feel like this was like because of how much traction the character got. This would be a good start,
I forget if he won an Emmy. Let me check it out, but. Everything he has the big like business where he gets all the money. Do they explain how or why? Is it just because he?
No, they don't.
Because he like eliminated. Is this because he eliminated the crime family? No, I mean like in the last season.
Oh,
where he's in like the big office building. Is it because he eliminated the other crime people?
I guess just presume that the deal he made with, I don't remember who the guys were that like told him they like turned his back on Cristobal, but I guess the deal that he made with them like kind of worked out. But I was more thinking like. When we first see him in the first episode, like, you don't really know much about him. Like, how did this guy, like, come to be and whatever. I could see that being a possible route.
And, yeah, NoHo Hank has been nominated twice for Emmys for this role. But, I mean, I think we both think a win is due for this gentleman.
I believe so.
It's been a rough week for HBO. This and Succession, I believe, ended on the same exact night.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen Succession, so
I haven't either. It does seem like Barry though, where everyone's a bad person.
Yeah.
But it seems like to the point almost where like it's not fun.
Mm-hmm. I guess since we're talking about NoHo, we'll talk about his ending. What you didn't like it?
I didn't. It was fine to me. Like, with a character like that who, I mean, probably, I don't know. I feel like the Barry deserved a little better. Yeah.
You think he deserved
one way or another?
A little better, and what do you mean by a little better?
A little better of an ending. More ceremonious. Okay. Not saying like, oh, he should have gotten away and been happy.
Okay.
But he should have, I don't know. I just wanted something more than just like, we don't know who actually gets him, but he gets shot. We don't really. I don't think there's any final moment between him and Barry that isn't over the phone.
No, but I don't think there needed to be a final moment between him and Barry because it was a very one-sided relationship.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think NoHo Hank had a great ending where he like told him like admit that you killed Cristobal. And a great acting performance, a great moment in his character where he's crying and saying I just wanted to be safe and whatever stuff like that. And he's not a good he's a hitman or whatever he is. I don't even know what he is. Not a hitman, but I think his ending was as good as it can get. Because a comedic guy, I don't know ceremonies he can give it to him when he's like the comedy of the show.
I do feel like they built him up enough, like, through that, though.
Okay.
Like, especially with, his relationship with Cristobal and everything, that he has more depth than just, like, a comic relief character.
Yeah, I agree.
And something I just noticed, maybe they died, I don't remember now. But he had his two, like, henchmen in, like, the previous seasons, Dom and DeLuise, and they weren't in this one, I don't believe.
Oh.
But
yeah, I don't know.
Because they were funny, but overall, like, how will you remember Barry? Like, do you think it's one of, like, the best shows of the last 10 years or something?
I've said this could go on, like, a top 5 for me as of right now.
Oh, wow, that high.
Because I think it... a lot of shows try to balance between comedy, like, even, like, the MCU tries to balance between comedy and, like, stakes. But
yeah,
Barry has done it the best I've ever seen, where the comedy is played so well into the like grit, and the jokes are just so good where it just doesn't matter if you had this like a little halt in storytelling.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of it's how they balance it so well is because they have their own tone.
Yeah,
that is unlike any show that like we've seen, because like it has like HBO like seriousness, complexity of the crime and everything, like of like The Wire, but it has some hilarious deadpan comedy in it too.
Yeah,
so it's unlike anything on TV, and I think that's why we're probably gonna miss the show a lot and why it like sticks out so much.
Yeah, is
because it's so unique. And one other thing is that there isn't a lot of it.
No, like it doesn't overstay its welcome
at all. Yeah, which I'm happy with.
In fact, I think me and you were both a little skeptical. Like, what could they do for season 4? Like, it almost seems like they were done by season 3.
Yeah, the way they ended it with him going to prison.
Yeah,
it's like I was excited for more, obviously, but like I was very unsure where they were going. But yeah, there's only 32 episodes of this show. They're all like, yeah, it's easy to blast through.
Yeah, like 15 hours.
Yeah, 16 hours of TV. It might be like 17, just some are a little more, but still. And it's just masterful.
I actually think...
And Hader...
Go ahead.
No, Hader directed each one of the last season, too. So I gotta give props there.
I think I think the last season actually could have benefited from either a couple more episodes or like the last 2 episodes could have been like 45 minutes, maybe like a little longer runtime. Because
I can agree with that.
I think the finale snuck up on you a little bit,
big time,
and I did not like really any of the episodes after the time skip except for the finale.
Really? Okay.
I thought everything dragged so much.
Yeah, I thought it could have been quicker. I thought like the first 2 of it took a while to adjust.
And there wasn't really much going on.
It's a lot of housekeeping because they're like, all right, we have to update you on where people are after this time jump.
Yeah.
And so the story wasn't really moving. It was just saying like, here's where things are now. But yeah, the last 2 episodes, yeah, I agree that there could have been one more episode, or they could have been stretched out a little more.
Yeah.
Because I watched with my dad, and we were both like, oh, this is the last one? We were like, oh, yeah, this is the last one. Oh, crap, before starting it, because it didn't feel like we were amped up for that. And it was still just like a regular length of an episode, too.
Right, yeah.
But that's what the show is. It always subverted expectations, so.
True.
And it always gave you less when you thought you were getting more. So that's what made Barry special.
How would you remember Barry?
I think I'm gonna remember as, yeah, I think like really great HBO show of the last 10 years. Like if I'm gonna think of like this era of TV, like this Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which just ended, like that, Only Murders in the Building, maybe like a very high class of TV shows. I do put this guy in.
Cool.
And very rewatchable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think this is going to grow much more of a following because you can put this on, and it can take you time to watch. The time it takes to watch the whole series of Barry is the same time it takes to watch like a season and a half of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think this is my number one recommendation for someone trying to get into a new show.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good
of
one.
the
Yeah,
fact it's so easy to watch. It's funny. It checks all the boxes.
Yeah, and I remember especially the first 2 seasons, they're written almost like movies, where each episode just rolls into the next.
Yeah,
and they're not like, for better or worse, they're not as much self-contained stories, but like when you're watching them, it's a perfect continuation. So yeah, that is a really good rec because it just flows so nicely.
And I think it's like the best. I don't know. It's so genre fluid.
Yeah, there's something in there. Like it's weird because like I say like it's like an acquired taste. Like some people, like a very particular people might like it, but it still feels like, oh, there's something there for everybody.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like this like weird dry comedy, you're gonna like the drama, or you're gonna like the sillier comedy stuff.
Right.
So it always kept the palate happy.
Yeah. I agree.
So the B in our name.
Remarks?
Well, the B in our name, BT&H, stands for Brinx, but it could stand for Barry because we both love the show Barry. And the Brinx Truck and Hearse. Brinx Truck.
I don't know.
Barry Truck and NoHo Hank.
Yeah.
But BT&H, thanks you for watching. Thanks you for listening. And I've been Ryan McNeil.
I've been Michael Freire.
And from our own homes, we wish you a Heidi.
Ho!